Welcome to Cooking Gluten and Dairy Free with Dave D. On the menu today is lasagna, gluten and dairy free of course. I don't know if these videos or pictures capture how delicious this recipe is. And I don't usually brag, but I'm gonna this time. This is the best gluten and dairy free lasagna on Al Gore's internet. It's creamy, it's flavorful, and it's quite rich, so save this for special occasions and cheat meals. As always, remember that we focus on gluten and dairy-free products, but feel free to use whatever product you want. Let's get down to business. So starting with our prep, dice up one small onion or half of a large onion. Next, chop up some fresh basil. This is going to take our meat sauce to a whole nother level. And that's it for our prep for now. We have a little more prep to do, but we can wait till our meat sauce is simmering. So speaking of our meat sauce, I'm going to be using ground beef and ground Italian sausage. If you don't mess with beef or pork, that's fine. You can use ground turkey, ground chicken, ground tempeh, ground turkey sausage, ground vegan sausage, ground impossible meat, ground... Alright, I'm starting to sound like Bubba from Forrest Gump, but you get the point. This recipe will work for anything. So in a large pot on medium-high heat, add a touch of avocado oil and then add your ground sausage and your ground beef. All the specific ingredients and measurements are in the description box below. Brown them on each side and then use a utensil to break up the clumps. After about halfway through the cooking process, let's season the meat with some garlic powder, onion powder, Italian seasoning, dried thyme, and some red crushed pepper flakes. Mix the seasoning into the meat and continue breaking up the clumps. Once your meat is fully cooked, go in with your diced onion. Mix it in and allow it to soften in the meat for about 1 to 2 minutes. Next, we're going to add my best friend, garlic paste or chopped garlic. Add that in and stir it into the meat. Next, we're going in with some tomato paste. Stir that in. Next, add about 3/4 of your chopped fresh basil. Stir it in. Next, we're going in with a large can of crushed tomatoes. Stir that into the meat. Alright, so warning, this is going to sound like a commercial, but I'm not sponsored. Yet. This tomato sauce by Lucchini is the best jarred tomato sauce I have ever tasted. If your grocery store has this brand, I strongly recommend it. But if not, choose your favorite tomato sauce. Hopefully it's not ragu. Bow! Shots fired. Alright, stir that in, turn your heat down to low, and give your sauce a taste test, and season to taste. I had to add a little bit of salt, but otherwise perfection. Put your cover on your pot and let it gently simmer on low for about 30 minutes. Alright, so during that time, we're going to work on our dairy-free ricotta. Now, if you thought for even a second we were just adding ricotta, you haven't watched enough of my videos. So go ahead and subscribe and watch the other videos. After that, I'm going to show you how to level up your ricotta. Alright, so add your dairy-free ricotta to a bowl. Next, we're going to be adding some French-style cashew with herbs and garlic. If you've ever heard of the brand Boursin, this is very similar. It's delicious and adds a lot of flavor. Next, add about 1 ounce of dairy-free Parmesan cheese. Next, add 2 tablespoons of dairy-free sour cream. Add the remainder of your chopped fresh basil. Then, of course, we season. Add some red crushed pepper, onion powder, Italian seasoning, garlic powder, and mix it in. The consistency here is a little thicker than we want, so we're going to add a little bit of water. Stir the water in until it's spreadable. Next, we're going to grate some fresh dairy-free mozzarella. If you cook with dairy-free cheese a lot, then you know it can be a hassle to melt sometimes. I find that if you use the grated back stuff, melting can be a little bit more challenging, so let's take a few minutes to grate the cheese ourselves. Go ahead and grate some dairy-free mozzarella and some dairy-free provolone, if you can find it. If not, just go double on the mozzarella. Now let's work on our gluten-free lasagna noodles. Side note, did you know that real G's move in silence like lasagna? Honestly, I'm not very picky when it comes to noodles. All gluten-free brands I've tried are pretty good, but today we're going with Jovial. Cook them according to the instructions on the box. Mine had instructions for no boil and boil. Obviously, I went with boil because, well, I'm old school. Do what you want, but remember to salt your water if you go with the boil option. So when your pasta is done and your meat has simmered, it's time to build our lasagna. Also, you should put your oven on bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Grab a casserole or baking dish, mine is 13 by 9 inches. Add some meat sauce to cover the bottom of your dish. Next, layer on your noodles. I'm going parallel to the dish here, but some people go in opposite directions with each layer. But do whatever you feel in your heart. Once you've added your noodles, put your level 10 ricotta on and spread it in an even layer on your noodles. Next, add some more meat sauce and spread it evenly. Now let's add our dairy-free Parmesan cheese and our grated mozzarella and provolone. Now we rinse and repeat. Add the noodles, more level 10 ricotta, more meat sauce, and more grated cheese. I did this a total of 3 times, so you should end up with 3 levels of noodles. You should end with a layer of cheese on the top. Now we're going to hit the like button and loosely add some foil to the top. We don't want the cheese to melt to the foil, so put it on loosely. And then pop it in the oven in the middle rack for about 45 minutes. I put mine on a baking sheet just in case it cooked over. After 45 minutes, remove the foil and return it to the oven, but this time put it on the top rack for about 15 minutes. We want that top layer of cheese to melt and brown a little bit. Remove it from the oven and let it rest for an additional 10 minutes. And there you have it, folks. The best gluten and dairy-free lasagna recipe on the internet. Trust me, this dish is absolutely delicious. Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We make gluten and dairy-free recipes that are absolutely delicious. If you have any questions or comments about this recipe or anything else, please leave them down below. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch, and we'll see you next time.